I will always stress and encourage, make your own mind up. Sometimes you will agree with me, sometimes you'll disagree with me, which is perfectly normal. But what's important is you decide for yourself, because some topics we don't actually know the truth. We just base our opinions off of what's being reported. And today's topic is very much one of those, because I strongly believe, and you don't have to, but I strongly believe there's a little bit of chucking under the bus going on at West Ham last week. And I don't like it. I hate when this happens. And I was really disappointed to see it. I was not surprised, but I was disappointed. And I don't believe what's being reported for 1 second. And this is what's being reported. The credit for identifying Diouf and Fernandes actually lies with Hahn and his scouting team instead of Potter and Kyle Macaulay. Now, I should stress, this isn't a dig at anyone that's reporting it. West Ham Reports, one of my favourite pages on Twitter. It's been reported. That is what's been put out there. I don't believe it for a second. And I've got receipts. I'm going to tell you exactly why I don't believe it. But like I said at the start, it doesn't mean I'm right. This is just what I believe. And I should start by saying we've seen this time and time again at West Ham. Kyle Macaulay won't be the first person where the credit for the good signings is taken away and the credit for the bad signings is attributed to him. Step forward, Tim Steidten, Rob Newman, Mateus. The list is endless, because this is what happens at our football club. And it's a mentality, it's a culture, and it's a behaviour that needs to end, and it needs to end now. Because the next transfer window is going to be massive for this club. Not just West Ham United. Quite a few teams in the Premier League, I think, are going to be busy in January. And I fully expect us to, for two reasons. One, because of the makeup of the squad. Every time we have a change in the dugout, we have to change the squad, because there's no identity at the club. It's not that one head coach goes out, we bring the next one in who's going to perfectly suit the players available. We bring someone in, he looks at the squad and goes, I can work with that half, can't work with that half. We start changing that half, sack him, bring the next one in, he goes, I can work with those players, but I can't work, all right. And we repeat the cycle. It's a very expensive process, many overhauls every single time we change manager. The reality is, we're on to our fourth one in 2 years. That is not good, that is not healthy, and that is not cheap. So January, we're going to have to make some changes. And then we've got the situation we're in. I expect us to be in a relegation battle. I have hopes we might be 15th or 16th come the January transfer window. But even then, we're still going to need to bring in one or two players that can make a big difference in the second half of the season to ensure we don't get relegated. But before we do that, we need to sort this out, this blame game that's going on. So Macaulay, now, it's been reported that Hahn, who was brought to the club by Tim Steidten, he was the one responsible for Fernandes and Diouf, not Kyle Macaulay. Well, all summer, I had an understanding that it was Kyle Macaulay that wanted Diouf and Fernandes. Not just those two either. Let's get into it. So this is where our interest in Diouf was first reported by ex-West Ham employee, because the scouts went to the Senegal-England game. They were looking at Habib Diarra, who of course has now joined Sunderland, and they were following up on some initial interest in Hadji, Malik, Diouf. So Diouf's someone that we had on the radar, hadn't yet decided to make a move, so went to the Senegal game to look at Diarra and keep an eye on Diouf, who had a fantastic game against England. That's when I was first aware of his name. But pretty quickly, it was attributed to Kyle Macaulay, that he was the person that was responsible for this player. Now, as the reporting went, here we go. Graham Potter sees Diouf as the club's #1 target for the position of left wing back. So Graham Potter's #1 target is Hadji, Malik, Diouf. I go on, we've got a different source now. Sebastian says, Hadji Malik Diouf wants to join West Ham. Described as powerful in Champions League level, the Slavia Prague stars given the green light. West Ham are preparing a new offer after a 17 million bid was rejected. Potter is pushing hard. Now, as far as I'm aware, Sebastian, an ex-West Ham employee, have no links. That they're two independent sources reporting the same thing, probably from what they've heard from different sources themselves. Everything was adding up. So that's Potter and Diouf linked. Well, let's do Kyle Macaulay. And this one comes from Jacob Steinberg. He was speaking when we signed Kyle Walker-Peters. It's a good signing, especially with Graham Potter looking at a wing-back system, provides experience on both sides. It's not an expensive deal, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to say, West Ham have a lot to do. Midfield is priority, so the budget needs to be used accordingly. I think you can see what with the signing of Diouf what Kyle Macaulay is about. So don't overreact if Harvey Elliott proves too expensive, other attacking targets. So someone else with links to people at West Ham United, he's reporting that Kyle Macaulay was the one that identified and brought Hadji Malik Diouf to West Ham United. Now, there is a bit in the middle. And this is actually what I suspect might be true. But the new reporting is the bit that I disagree with. It is possible that Hans identified Diouf. Macaulay and Potter came to the club. Hans presented Diouf and said, I really like this guy. Have a look at him. They've gone and had a look at him. And you know what? Yeah, we like him as well. Let's get him to the club. It is possible that Hans identified him. Macaulay rubber stamped it. Potter approved it. Diouf came to West Ham. That's possible. And I like to think that's what happened, because that would be normal. That the analysis guy identifies someone and takes it to the head of recruitment, who looks at it and goes, you know what, that's a good find. I'm gonna run my scouting over it. Kyle Macaulay takes a look and goes, you know what, I like this guy as well. I'm going to take it to Graham Potter. And Potter goes, yeah, I like the sound of him. Bring him in. That would be a good process to have at a club. So actually, if that is what's happened, that's good. That's a healthy thing to have occurred. But that's not what's being reported anymore. The credit for Kyle Macaulay being involved in the Diouf deal is being removed quickly. Yet all summer, Kyle Macaulay, Graham Potter, Potter's number one target. Oh, no, now Potter's gone. And let's be real, they want to get rid of Kyle Macaulay. The PR game has begun. The tarnishing of Macaulay has begun in order to justify the potential sacking of Kyle Macaulay. Between now and then, the club must make it look like he's crap at his job. Fernandes, let's move on to him. Here we go. West Ham have three midfielders. Southampton's Fernandes, who's a player admired by Potter and Macaulay. Moving on to Jacob Steinberg. West Ham are preparing an opening bid for Fernandes. Number one target for Graham Potter in midfield. Now, I am not going to harp on too much about the identification of... Let me just go back to that one. Fernandes, the credit for identifying Fernandes lies with Maximilian Hahn. Leave it out. Leave it out. Identifying Fernandes, the guy that was playing in the Premier League all of last season. Identifying him? There's no identifying to be done. Me and you knew about him. We did. We were speaking about him. Hammer's Chat subscribers were speaking about Fernandes before Southampton got relegated as a player that we'd like to see at West Ham. There's no identification required there. There's no fancy scouting or anything like that. Everyone knows about him. Who's he going to identify next? Mbappe. Oh, I've run the figures. Mbappe looks good. Oh, you're wonderful at your job, Mr. Hans. Now, this isn't me trying to downbeat Hans, by the way. But to suggest he gets credit for identifying Fernandes, I think that's pushing it. You can credit someone for wanting to sign him and actually signing him. Good, I'm pleased we've signed Fernandes. Bit worried we've overpaid, but it is what it is. It was Graham Potter's number one target. You have to pay what you got to pay to get him, right? But I don't know. It just feels a bit of a push. This is why I think it's PR. This is why I think it's spin. This is why I think it's chucking Macaulay under the bus. Because not only is it enough to try and distance Macaulay from the signing of Diouf, the one player who's looked really good, it's actually, we'll take him, you're not getting Fernandes either. But you didn't have to do that, because there shouldn't be any credit given for the identification of a player playing central midfield in the Premier League. It just shouldn't be a thing. Maybe I'm overreacting here. But when I seen it, I thought do one, because I've seen this time and time again with West Ham United, where they have to discredit someone. They've got to tarnish someone, beat someone up in the media before getting rid of them. If you just want to get rid of him, just get rid of him. Just say, do you know what? He was brilliant. He helped bring Diouf to the club. He helped bring Fernandes to the club. They're great players. Thank you very much, Mr. Macaulay. Best of luck with your next venture. That's it. Say thank you very much. Just pretend he's done a good job, even if you don't think so. Otherwise, let him go on. You don't need to just do this whole PR thing. I hate it. I can't stand it, because we've seen it before and we'll see it again. And I know people will say, oh, Sullivan's not speaking to anyone though, so this isn't a Sullivan thing. He's going to be speaking to people, whether it be agents or that, and then it gets back through. He might just not be speaking directly to certain journalists and fan media sites and stuff like that, which is still good, by the way. I still like that. It has got quieter in the last few weeks, and that is a good thing. But it doesn't mean that he's not speaking to anyone, and Canon Brady's not speaking to anyone. Of course they'll still be speaking to people. It might just be the end goal that when it comes out via the media, it's fifth down the line rather than second or third hand information. And it just feels like there's just this thing going on at the minute. And here's my last thing. Apparently the only player responsible for Kyle Macaulay is responsible for identifying was Mads Hermansen. Really, the one player who's not done too well. I mean, you definitely can't give him Callum Wilson because no one's going to buy that. But I ain't buying. I mean, there's, like I said, the Diouf thing on its own I thought was suspicious. Then when you credit identifying Fernandes, I thought, well, that's just a lie, isn't it? There's none required. Then when you start saying Macaulay was responsible for Hermansen, I ain't buying it. And I go back to the start of the video. I must stress, this is what I believe. You do not have to agree with me. That is okay. I'm not trying to encourage you. I'm not trying to say I'm speaking the truth. Believe me, I don't know. None of this is fact, in my opinion. This is just what's being reported. Two completely different things. Lies can be reported. But to say that he's responsible for Hermansen, now, this is where there is a little bit of, I think I'm right about me here. But for those that are tuned into most of the videos on this channel over the summer transfer window will know I've been quite consistent in saying this. Graham Potter always relies on his coaching staff, his goalkeeping coaching staff, when deciding which goalkeeper to bring in. Chelsea, Swansea, Brighton, he relies on his goalkeeping coach. He goes to his goalkeeping coach and he takes their advice about which goalkeeper he wants to bring into the club and which goalkeeper he wants to play, etc, etc. Because Potter ain't stupid. Now, obviously with the performance of Hermansen, you're going to suggest he is. But Potter knows the goalkeeping coach is there for a reason. He's an expert in goalkeeping, so I'm going to use him. And that's something I strongly believed all summer. And all summer we did not sign a goalkeeper. Kasper Ankergen rocked up and immediately we went in for Mads Hermansen. That was the one that Graham Potter wanted. But I don't believe Kyle Macaulay had anything to do with that. I think Potter has, yes. But we ain't discussing Graham Potter's involvement here. I think Graham Potter would have listened to Kasper Ankergen, the Danish goalkeeping coach, and decided, you know what, let's go buy the Danish goalkeeper from Leicester City. And I'll tell you something. Mr. Macaulay, apparently responsible for Mads Hermansen, there was no pushback. When the club were getting praise for negotiating that deal, and they were getting a lot of it. And even if you don't rate Hermansen or you didn't know much about him, I think when the asking price is 25 million, we pick him up for 15 million or something. There was a lot of credit given to the club. I was one of them. But it's not just, I'm not going to start naming names, but there's plenty of other people saying this is a brilliant deal. Well done. Sullivan's actually done some good negotiating here. He was happy to take the praise for it, weren't he? Now it turns out he's not keen on him. Suddenly, oh, that's Kyle Macaulay that signed him. Well, it wasn't, was it? It's Kasper Ankergen and Graham Potter, and they're not here anymore. You could just blame them if you really want to blame something. But how about it's just the club? How about everyone at the club decided to buy that guy? Everyone at the club decided to buy him. Now, there's a little bit of me that's really sceptical, and I will concede that this part is a bit far-fetched and a bit too sceptical. But this news came out. We did the video Monday morning. Gonzo put a video up on the Hammers Chat Forum channel, and it was about Hadji Malik Diouf. And I didn't know he was going to cut this out and put it on YouTube because, well, we hadn't discussed it. So we do the player rating show every Monday after the game, and we go through every individual player and we just talk about how we felt that player got on. And when it came to Diouf, I said, oh, apparently we're getting rid of Kyle Macaulay. Don't. Look at Diouf. He's fantastic. It warrants keeping Kyle Macaulay. If that's what he can do, if that's who he can identify and bring to the club, keep him. Once Potter gets a new job, he'll come back for Kyle Macaulay because he's shown that. He took him to Chelsea. Potter come to West Ham. He immediately went and got Kyle Macaulay. So I think it's fair to suggest that when Potter gets another job, he's going to want to bring Kyle Macaulay with him. So we'll get the compensation for him. We'll get our money back. But in the meantime, it looks like he can identify a good player. Let's keep him. And then that afternoon, the news come out. Actually, Kyle Macaulay wasn't the one that identified Diouf or Fernandes. It was Hans. And I will accept maybe I'm just being a little bit too far-fetched there. It could just be a coincidence. But what I don't think is far-fetched is to suggest that it's a little bit of a throw Kyle Macaulay under the bus now. Because all summer, while Potter was here, while Sullivan was singing like a canary to anyone that would listen, and Macaulay was being credited with the signings of Diouf, when it was being credited that Potter's number one target was Diouf and then Fernandes. There was no, oh, that's incorrect. Just correct that, by the way. None of that. The club were happy for Macaulay and Potter to be the ones that had chosen Diouf, chosen Fernandes. They were happy for Potter and Ankergin to be the one that chose Hermansen. But the minute Potter sacked and the minute they decided they want to sack Kyle Macaulay, oh, suddenly, no, yous were all summer. Since May, for 4 months, everyone was wrong. But we didn't tell anyone. But now, a week after Potter's gone, we're going to start correcting everyone now. I ain't having it. I ain't having it at all. If you want to sack him, sack him. But the bit in between, which is what we're seeing now, it's just unnecessary. And it needs to be sorted. Because we can't have this every single time we change a head coach. We can't have this every single time we have someone in charge of a transfer window where they get this beating in the media before they get sacked. It's unhealthy and it helps no one. There's not one person can enjoy this. Kyle Macaulay's still in a job. He's still at West Ham United. Kyle Macaulay is currently still employed. He'll be aware of this stuff that's getting put out there. Now, it might not be him. Like I said, it might be Hans that identified Diouf. Then credit Kyle Macaulay for listening to his team member, trusting his team member, and deciding to go get Diouf, because that deserves credit as well. That's good leadership on Kyle Macaulay's half. If Max Hans has taken Diouf to him, they've discussed it and they've gone together and gone and signed him. That's good. That's what your head of recruitment should be doing. Your head of recruitment isn't there to scout everyone left, right and centre across the world himself. A head of recruitment is to manage the department of scouts and analysts and listen to them, listen to what they're saying and work together and make the right decisions in the transfer market. And I would suggest early signs with Diouf, they've done the right thing. Fernandes, again, I have issues by claiming he identified him, but I think he's a good player. I think he'll come good for West Ham. Magassa looks all right so far. I think he's had a decent appearance, a poor appearance, grew into the game and played well appearance. Then he was bang average at best against Arsenal, but I'm willing to dismiss it. It was Arsenal, right? This is where we're going to hopefully see the best of Magassa coming up. He's not been attributed to anyone. Do you know why? Because they don't know if he's good or yet. I bet if Magassa was in the team playing crap, that was that bloody Kyle Macaulay wanted him. But I bet if he was man of match against Arsenal, we won. Oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you, as well as identifying Diouf and Fernandes, Hans also identified Magassa. Maybe he did, but where's that reporting? Why is it not being reported who identified Magassa? And I'll tell you why, because they don't know if he's a good player or not yet. And that's where I'm going to finish up. With a little bit of fun. Fun is subjective, of course. It's light-hearted fun. But I will just stress, this isn't a dig at those people in the screenshots or anything like that. My complaint isn't about that. My complaint is about who's telling someone the origin of the story. Someone's putting it out there that it was Hahn's, not Macaulay. But why is it even a thing? It shouldn't be a thing. That's my complaint. It's the culture at West Ham United, because we've seen it before. Pick a director of football, head of recruitment, whatever position you want to pick. Pick one of those. In the past at West Ham, this has happened to them all. Every single one of them. And it'll happen to the next guy as well. If we have one, it'll happen to the next guy. Because it's just what we do at West Ham. Anyway, time for a little bit of fun. Here's my flow chart. There you go. Do the fans like him? Yes. Is he good? Yes. Max Hands. No. Kyle Macaulay. That's how West Ham decide who signed who.